So welcome back, episode 9 of the Ground Up podcast. And as mentioned, we don't have Big D today, but we do have Ronan. We're going to come to Ronan in 2 seconds. But for now, in this episode, we're going to be covering a lot of commercial property, thanks to Ronan being here. We'll be talking about developments at scale, thanks to Ronan being here. We're going to talk about billions of dollars worth of developments on huge infrastructure projects and resorts, thanks to Ronan being here. And we're going to talk about whiskey, thanks to Ronan being here. So there's going to be a lot coming out of this episode: property development planning. I'm going to do some comparisons with Ireland and England as well for anyone that's not aware of the differences between the two countries when it comes down to planning and legalities and other bits and bobs. So should be an interesting deep dive for all of us as well as anyone listening at home. But yeah, we're going to be talking about some big properties. So let's dive in. And Ronan, kick us away, mate. Give us a 101 on who you are and
It's
what you're
episode
doing.
9 already. Hey,
I know, mate. Over
well,
2 months.
fair play, fair play. Well, New Key Homes is my firm. I'm based about 20 minutes north, as mentioned, north of Dublin Airport, and I'm mostly doing residential construction, but I've gone into commercial in the last number of years. Commercial meaning large neighborhood centres, supermarket anchored neighborhood centres, which seem to be working out well for me. I call them posh sheds. They're a little bit more complicated than that, but happy to run through it. But I've about 850 units in terms of residential units in the pipeline, and about 190,000 square feet of commercial sites. So in the middle of it at the moment and ramping up. It wasn't always like that, but we obviously built up from a couple of houses up to maybe delivering about 100 or so now, and obviously scaling that up to probably 250 next year. So with that, ramping up the team, and yeah, Ireland's going through a good patch at the moment. There's a huge amount of need for housing, and if we can get through some of this planning, which we'll speak about as well, I think there's going to be a good flow of that for the next couple of years.
Banging. And Ronan, can we ask about, before we dive into some of the projects that you're on now, and then we can, I know the guys want to go do some questions. Can we just talk about what you did before you set up on your own? You
Yeah,
worked at Mace, right? So I'll just pull this up for you.
yeah, I worked at Mace International, they're known at the time, or Mace Group as they're known now. Really got my education in that. I'd done a couple of degrees before that, but I went to Mace in about '08, and this is a site in the Bahamas. You're looking at about 1,000 acres there, which used to be the middle of the town, but the developer, it was an Ismailian family, they went in and bought 1,000 acres there. They actually made a lot of their funny or money or wealth from peanuts. They owned a third of the world's peanut trades of all things. But this
Mad.
was one job. It was 3.6 billion. But before that, I was in Dubai in the Middle East, and in the Middle East,
Wait,
I was
Ronan.
on.
Ronan,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt that, but just for anyone listening at home and just for me listening as well, you said that so casually, a $3.6 billion project, right?
Mhm.
I mean, how rare is that for someone to be able to work on a project like that?
Yeah, it's pretty rare. In the Middle East, you get a lot of them because in the Middle East, you build a lot of like cities from scratch and stuff. I was involved originally with Moudon, out in the Middle East with Dubai Properties, as well as a couple of other ones. But yeah, they're big. But I suppose the luxury of being with a massive international construction / project management consultancy firm like Mace is, this one here. There's a couple of us headhunted from around the world to jump onto this job, and it was a great ticket to go into. For me, I was in Dubai. I wasn't paying any tax. I asked where was this job on. It was in Nassau in the Bahamas, and no, obviously there's no tax in it as well. Plus, obviously the exposure to this size of job. So, as you can imagine, it was quite stressful. It was a very intense job. We spent about 45 million a month. So every morning by 10:30 or so, you've committed $1.5 million. So
Jesus.
there's a lot to learn off that. If it went wrong, it could go wrong very quick at large sums. So it's something that Mace honed in on me, was just the procedures and standards and driving quality, and then obviously keeping customers or bringing in new customers. So they were excellent at that, and really my full education was with Mace and with the people around Mace. I had a couple of great mentors. I was luckily enough to be just very lucky to be on some great teams, great leaders around. So it was great, and you throw yourself at it for a few years. I think I was with them for about 6 or 7 years, something like that. But great education, loved it.
Ronan,
But
just
yeah.
Rowan, just to ask a couple of questions. So you said you were headhunting to go to this site. What was you doing previously, and what was like the key responsibilities of this site? What was what was your
Yeah,
biggest challenges as well?
I was project managing a site, I think, called the Villa Project, or no, there was one for a large oil company who were working in Iraq and flying in and out to the head office just as off Sheikh Zayed Road. I done a fit out for that for 3 floors with a team in Mace, and then that one when the fit out was coming to an end, and I was like, "Where's the next big project?" And I kind of wanted to get out in the Middle East, so they were looking for this site. I was asked, I think Mike Barford was one of my mentors, and he ended up getting onto this job, albeit after I got there. But um, I was asked would I go over and do this job. My role was to be a PM, a project manager on it for the core works. So due to the size of the project, it was broken into massive packages. The core works being essentially the superstructure, so the whole frame of the building, including the hotels, the whole podium, the casino, but the structural frame. So it was a massive building. Um, but it consists of here. You can just about see it in the outlay. There's about 5 hotels, 2,500 bedrooms, Jack Nicklaus golf course. Um, the detail in it was intense. We built a new beach. Um, as you can imagine, it's a resort, so it's huge. I think the casino is just over 100,000 square feet, and we had a Chinese contractor on it, CSCE. They have about 160,000 employees, but all of the guys on site were Chinese, so we had translators and stuff like that. And because it's the other thing as well, lads, it's an island, so everything they're coming on, whether it be a cement mixer, everything, we built 3 ports just to bring the material onto site. And then we used to hand it over to the army every night because the value of the material. Imagine the value of the copper cable and stuff like that. It was just massive. And we built that new access road as well from the airport. All that infrastructure you can see is all built as part of the project.
So did you say it was 3.7 billion,
Three point
Ronan?
six, yeah.
Was
At the
that just
time,
purely the build costs?
yes, I think so. It was the largest privately funded resort project on the planet at the time. It was originally, I believe, supposed to be funded by Caesars in Vegas, but then the crash, I think, hit it, and the guys that were willing to put in the money, I think in 08, 09 was China Import Export Bank of China, and it turned out to be a bit of a headache, to say the least, for the developer. The Chinese essentially took it off him, and it's in the Supreme Courts in the US since. The resort's open. I've been to it since it launched. But yeah, a vast project, exceptionally complicated, and then it got very, very contractual, which is a whole other podcast in itself. But um, I had great learnings from the site, and I've adopted a lot of my time with Mace into what I do now at home. And I went from that project, which was one of the largest private ones in the world, to 2 houses. So when I moved home, the scale it dropped off significantly. But you have to start from somewhere, and that's what I done. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, just for anyone listening at home, for your benefit, a minute ago we just played some of the video footage from this site. If you want better
Yeah.
context, and it's casinos, hotels, pools, water parks, golf courses, brand new beaches, just anything. Matt, it's like building a Disneyland.
Yeah, you
I
can
think is
you can check it out on YouTube. There's plenty of videos. It's a huge, huge resort, and loads of special features, loads of stuff going on. So yeah, it's it's it's
crazy.
it's it's enormous. Yeah.
And